It is now the first day of 2021, so we've been talking about all things New Year's on today's show, from celebrations to resolutions. But now, ladies, I wanted to talk about some things that didn't make it into the new year, because 2020 also saw a lot of casualties, including department store Debenhams and Arcadia, which is the umbrella group that owns brands such as Topshop, Dorothy Perkins, Miss Selfridge, and many other popular retailers. Now, those two big retailers both went into administration, and it really made me think, are we witnessing the death of the high street? And what is that going to even mean for our future shopping habits?
Yeah, it's such a tough one. I think when I saw Arcadia go down, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're going down, because they're like such a retail giant. So that was a bit of a shock. I won't lie, I was one of those people when they told me Topshop was going in administration. I was on that website, honey, in the sale, just getting everything I could, because I thought, what if they don't make these jeans anymore? So I was in a bit of a fluster. Now, do I think we're seeing the death of the high street? I don't know if I want to call it a death, but I definitely want to say there is a decline. Now, I worked in retail for a very long time. So obviously I got my first retail job when I was 17. And then I think I stopped my last retail job maybe when I was about 21. But then I went to my first corporate job was in the head office of a retail company. So then it was kind of like I was still thinking retail, but I wasn't just on the shop floor. And so whilst being there and being retail for many years, I have seen a steady decline. I will not lie. And whilst working in the office, we were always worried about numbers, because you just couldn't make the same amount of money that you were making last year. Like you would just never hit budget. But I don't think it's a death, as I said. I think, like, I was reading an article and it said that really retail stores have been declining over the last century. So it's not really a new thing. And it made me really think about, I guess, how we used to shop, or not, let me not say me, but how they used to shop many moons ago, because they didn't have all these like big shopping centres and Westfields and like a big West End. Like, you know, you had a lot of your local places, or a lot of places used to deliver. Like, as I was told, a lot of people had milkmen and like orange juice men, and so like a lot of things were being delivered.
You don't remember milkmen? You don't remember the milkman?
That was not my time, so that's why I said that it's not. I hate to say, it just wasn't my time.
No, it just makes. I'm just realizing how quickly things move on, because I guess I must have been about 5 or 6, so it does make sense.
Yes,
but I'm like,
exactly.
wow, okay,
and that's almost like my point, Sophie, is that the way that we consume things or buy things changes, and I don't think it's smart for retail to exist on one single model of the high street. And so when I was working in retail, the big thing that we tried to do in the company to make it more sustainable, it was diversify our kind of retail channels. And so there was a big focus on e-commerce and getting online, because it's not smart to have one single model. I think you need a few things to keep the high street going, whether it's delivery and the store, you know, brick and mortar, and then also your e-commerce. I think you have to diversify, because the way that we are consuming things as people is changing, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Do you know what? I was so surprised when I saw that Topshop was going to end. I thought never in my lifetime am I going to see the end of Topshop, just because it's always managed to keep a focus on the young girl. Do you know what I mean? So the young girls are always coming up. There's always going to be a new crop of teenagers to 20s or whatever who are going to be their major market. So for me, it's just mind-boggling. But as you were saying, Anissa, evolve or die. Like, I think some people are really sad, or they're really talking or complaining about the death of the high street, but you evolve or die. Things change. And so it makes me think about Sir Philip Green as well, in regards to what you were saying, Anissa, because he was famous for saying that he never thought that bricks and mortar would die. Now, he's the owner of the Arcadia Group and Topshop. So when ASOS was coming, when Boohoo, Pretty Little Thing, he refused to move along with the times and really make a good user experience. And now these things have just come and overtaken him. So I think it's evolve or die. And that's not a bad thing. Like we're saying, things change. Like, you might have had the milkman, but now they're saying actually there's a faster system that is going to happen this way, where we don't use as many bottles or whatever it is. And I think that the death of the high street is really going to allow us to have a chance to evolve into something else, like our city centres into something else. So I don't want us to look at it as a time to really complain about what's going on at the high street.
Right. I didn't even think about, you know, what else could this city look like if we had something other than high street shops. But that's a really interesting thought. I think for me, that if the majority of stores go online, I think that shopping, this is just a theory, might become like a luxury experience, and it might be something for like the middle class or the upper class, where you know how we're talking about okay, we do stream movies online, and that's probably the most common thing that we do now, but we go to the cinema for an experience, and that's why we don't want the cinema to die, but that's why the cinema prices are going up. So with shopping, it will probably be that the upper class people were able to go into stores, and you get to look at the clothes, you get to try them on before you buy it, and maybe like trying clothes on before you buy them will become like a staple moment of your social status, because you can actually go into the store and then put it back if you don't like it, instead of like having we have this really moody delivery guy who never smiles when when he delivers us, and all of us are really friendly. So there was a delivery today, so I got my keys and I went to the door, and then my mum was like, no, I'll get it. It's Mr. Sunshine. And I was like, yeah, I know exactly who it is, because he's always at our house, but he always does this. He's always like grabs delivery. He's like, and then we're like, do you need a signature? And he's like, and so it's so, I don't know. I mean, I understand. For me, it's like, it's not because of COVID. He's been coming before COVID. It's not the distance. It's the attitude and the never smiling and like, I'll be like, hi, oh, thank you. And he doesn't speak, or like he mumbles or whatever. And like, yeah, it's just not cute. And like getting things that you don't want, I think the majority of us kind of just like either keep them or give them to someone else instead of returning them. But when you're in the shop, it's like you can try on the different things, and you can actually leave with the thing that you want. So I think it might become a luxury, and it become a little bit more rare if most places go to the
Luanda,
internet.
I just want to ask for you, sorry Sophie, is shopping about like the destination where you go versus what you buy? Because you've been speaking about like going in the store, like for shopping for me, it's just about what I buy. So I don't care where I'm buying it, but it feels like it's more like it's a little bit of both for you.
It's like an experience. It's an experience.
I hate shopping. I do. I actively try to avoid it. I only ever shop in person if I'm desperate. Or if I've worked myself up with a lot of patience.
What you're saying is so interesting, because you were just talking about how it's going to be experiential now, and people are going to go. But I just feel like I feel like most people feel like you. That's how I feel. Like I cannot now stand to go to shops in person. Like the death of the high street, to be honest, it's been dying for a while in my opinion, and I only really shop for clothes online because I like the ease of trying stuff on in my house, and I will routinely go for a nice little walk to my local post office and send everything back free of charge, and I really like that. And now the thought of having to go to a shop and having to get undressed and take off all my layers and my coat and my taking off my shoes because I want to put on trousers just seems very long. So I really wonder if people are going to really enjoy going back to shops and that in-shop person, because every time I go to shops now to buy something, they were like, it's not in stock. They were like, have you looked online? And I'm just like, well, I came in the shop because I wanted to try it on. They're like, we've got more stuff online. So I don't know if shops can even really compete. Yeah, they do. So I really wonder if it's still going to be an experience for people when most places seem to be putting more effort onto their online sales.
But I think definitely with fast fashion, a lot of the high street retails can't compete. Like, I'm not even being rude, but when I go in, maybe for example to River Island and H&M, I see some cute pieces, but I'm seeing even better pieces on Pretty Little Thing. Does that make sense? I don't feel like I just feel like they can't compete, or they're not with the trends as quick, or their stuff just isn't. I don't like it. But Sophie, I'm a little bit with Luanda. I don't go out shopping as much, but I do like to try on because I'm horrible at online returning. I've never returned anything online.
In my life.
I cannot go to the post office. I cannot do it. And I can't call the number that they say to get someone to come. I cannot do any of it, okay? So I usually keep it in a pile, and whenever my mum goes to Jamaica, I give it to her, and then she gives it to whoever needs it. And so it makes me feel like I'm keeping this, like giving to someone else who wants it.
Pay it forward.
Yes. Exactly.
Guys, that's so interesting, because I just, you always assume that you're the norm. So I just assume that everyone's lining up the post office with me with my 10 million return deliveries to ASOS, Zara, here, there, and everywhere. But it's true. I guess that's how they make part of their money, is because some people just can't be bothered, and they're kind of like, they're never going to do it. But I am a serial. I will order like 2 sizes of everything, and then I'll return the ones that doesn't fit. Like, that's the sort of person I am. So that makes it very interesting. But in terms of what it means for our shopping habits now, I read this really interesting article on Retail Essential, I think it was. And it was saying that now should be the time that we're looking to maybe do more experience things on the high street. So, for example, having pop-ups or one-day galleries. Or there was in Catford City Council, I think it was City Council, actually bought out their high street and said they're going to make it into something community focused. So it's not retailers owning it, it's them. And then they're going to use it to kind of feed back into their communities. And I thought that was some really nice ways to think about what the high street can be, and how, you know, how the shopping habits are all going to kind of change now into maybe more experience rather than going to pick up a top.
Yeah. The way that I see it, the reason why I mentioned it probably going a little bit more luxury is because, again, it's like we can order takeaway, but it's not the same as going to a restaurant. Like the first restaurant that I went to when we had that small little break between lockdown 1 and 2, it was like such a great experience. And we were all like, oh, this is great. And we'd been ordering takeaway or we'd been cooking food. And it's like having that experience of being served and being waited on and having it be, you know, something to do is the way that I can see shopping be. Because I've watched movies where the rich folk go into the stores and they're served and they're waited on in ways that we have been ignored. And most of the reason why I hate shopping is because I find it absolutely barbaric. Like it's it's a war zone, to put it lightly. Like it's especially Christmas. I remember I shopped one time on Christmas Eve. I will never do that again for as long as I live.
Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. It's a bunch of men outside who've forgotten to buy presents for the women in their life, and they're running around. Like, statistically, that's who it is.
Do you know why? Do you know why I was shopping on Christmas Eve? Because my dad said to me, he was like very casual. He's like, oh, you know, I haven't got your mum anything for Christmas, so can you go and
proves my point. I just said it.
I had to do all of that on, like, I feel like it was a snow day. If it wasn't, it was a snow day in my heart. And I had to do all of it before I had a shift at work. So then I had to turn up to work and, you know, dress up in Christmas thingies and like dance around and be merry and stuff. And obviously it's very busy because it's Christmas Eve anyway. But then the thing that frustrated me the most is because the place that I was working at the time, we had such an emphasis on 5-star customer service, and I'm like great in customer service anyway, but we had such an emphasis on 5-star customer service. And so for me to go out of my way early on Christmas Eve to be running around these shops with people who weren't even looking me in my eye, elbowing me out the way, and then go and do a job where I'm treating people like 1,000 times better than that, like, it killed me. I will never do it again.
Guys, I used to love working Christmas Eve when I was in retail. It was the best. It was always such a buzz, and they play Christmas songs all day. Like,
working was fine. Shopping is
no, but it's nice. Even like when you go out to the shops, like on your lunch break, you just peruse because it's like, I don't know.
No, we go to the market. We go to the German market in the lunch break. We're not going to go and like
go to the shop, see what last minute deals you can get. But I will agree. I just want to add to Luanda. I definitely agree that I think it may become a little bit more like an experience. Like we talk about what the cinema's like. And you know what? I wouldn't be mad if it was like a real Harrods service. Do you know what I mean? Like where everyone's catering to you and it's lovely. I mean, I would really enjoy that. However, I don't think my local H&M is going to do that for me if I'm being dead honest. I don't think they will. But it's nice to think that they might. Because Harrods is crazy. I once did a cover shift in Harrods. I was working for a concession and it was like a shoe store. And this woman, obviously she had lots of money, so everyone was all over her like a rash. And she came and sat down and the chair could recline. So she reclined all the way back. And basically she wanted everyone to basically rub her feet, put her shoes on her feet.
I didn't rub her feet, did you?
Not I, said she.
Somebody rubbed her feet.
Yes, it's impossible. I was thinking, I'm only here as a cover shift, and this is really not my bag. So I just walked away and sat in the stock room because it's like, you know what? I'm doing you lot a favour, me being here today. I'm not here to be doing that. It's too much. But people do expect that with luxury service.
People get some nerve. You know, really quickly, I was working in a bar and one of my friends spilled a drink on someone's shoe, and then the man tried to get my friend to wipe it up, like bend down and wipe the drink off his shoe. People get crazy. He didn't do it.
Oh, thank God.
He politely declined.